Football Week 7 is here. I'm Shannon Sommerville with your top 5 college football player prop bets that are available on Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, Sleeper, and CHALKBOARD, or the various sports books. If you don't have those apps, you can download them and use the promo code LineStar. It'll get you $100 of your deposit, your first deposit match, so make sure to take advantage of that deal. Also, I believe still it is going on Underdog Fantasy where you can get a $500 deposit match, so make sure to take advantage of that. Use that promo code LineStar. Links and promo codes are listed below. Also, check out the LineStar app. We've been crushing it lately. Tyler and I, if you watched our Thursday night football show, we were 3 for 3 on our props. We are using the Props AI tool. That is available on the LineStar app. It helps you find the best value. It compares LineStar's projection to the lines that are out there in the sports book, so it's super helpful. It's what I'm going to be using today to find the best value for college football week 7. Last week, we were 3-2 on our picks, so not bad. Ironically enough, the two that we didn't get right were the ones that I was the most confident in. Isn't that kind of how it always is? In fact, I don't think I've ever used the term lock on anything on this platform, and I used it last week for Tez Walker's over on receiving yards, and he came up short. It was at 58.5 was the line. He came up with 43, so we didn't hit that one. And then the other one, I was super confident in Devin Leary's over on passing yards against the Georgia Bulldogs, but I guess Georgia woke up and realized they were the number 1 team in the nation, and they played really, really well against Kentucky, which surprised me a little bit. Having seen Georgia compete for the first few weeks of the season, they looked a little bit shaky, but definitely looked more dominant last week. Needless to say, 3-2 last week. Overall in the season, we are 14 of 27, so looking to improve a little bit, get up closer to that 60% mark. And so let's get into it this week. We've got a lot of great games on the slate for today, and I'm going to start things off with my Georgia Bulldogs game. I'm not going with the Georgia Bulldogs, though, in this one. I'm going with Vanderbilt Commodores wide receiver Will Shepherd over 51.5 receiving yards. LineStar's projection for Shepherd's around 55. He had 107 last week against Florida. He has over 500 receiving yards on the year and has gone over this mark in 6 of 7 games. And when you look at Georgia, they do have a tendency to give up some yardage to wide receivers. I know they have a great defense, but opposing receivers are averaging 57 yards per game against them. Listen, Georgia is 31-point favorites in this one. If Vanderbilt wants to stay somewhat competitive in this game, they're going to have to air it out. And if you are betting on the side in this game, watch out because Georgia has struggled in years past in those early slates. They have a noon kickoff in this game. It's going to be early for them. And another thing to note in this one, this is an away game. This one's in Nashville, and they're building a new stadium there. So it's like the entire stadium is under construction. So it's kind of chaotic for opposing visiting teams that come in there. They have like a visiting locker room, like a pop-up locker room essentially there. So I think it might be a little chaotic. And like college football players, they're just creatures of routine. So when that gets disrupted a little bit, I don't know, we might see Georgia start off a little slow in this one. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. So if you are betting on that one, keep that in mind. I will not be betting the side in this one. I'm just going with that Will Shepherd over 51.5 receiving yards in this one. But if you are interested in betting a couple more player props in this particular game, I've got a couple Georgia ones for you guys. I'll drop those in the comments for you. Next up, though, we're going elsewhere in the SEC to the Battle of the Tigers. Auburn Tigers going up against the LSU Tigers. And in this one, I'm looking at Auburn's tight end, Rivaldo Fairweather, over 33.5 receiving yards. Fairweather has gone over this in 3 of 4 games, averaging 36 per game. He had 44 against Georgia, one of the top defenses in the country. This is a hard guy to tackle, and guess what? LSU, that defense still can't seem to tackle. Yes, they played a little bit better against Missouri that second half of the game, but they still gave up 411 receiving yards in that game. LineStar's projection for Fairweather is around 40 receiving yards in this one, and I think he hits that one against this LSU defense that has struggled throughout the past couple weeks. Also, Auburn's coming off a bye week. They've had a week to prepare, a week to rest, and this is a guy who has been a difference maker for the Auburn offense in this one. He's 6'4", 250, hard guy to tackle, and for a team that struggles at tackling, I think this is going to be quite the matchup nightmare for LSU in this one. I'm taking Rivaldo Fairweather over 33.5 receiving yards. Next up, we're going to a top 25 showdown on the West Coast. It's number 18 UCLA going up against number 15 Oregon State. And in this matchup, I am fading the Beavers quarterback. Sorry about it. DJ Uiagalelei. We're going under 218 passing yards in this one. That's around minus 115 in the sports books. If we look at LineStar's projection for DJ this week, it's 183, so significant edge in terms of LineStar's projection versus the line out there in the sports books. DJ's averaging 217.8, so very close to that line. He's only gone over that 3 of 6. He had 275 last week against Cal, but against other top 20 teams, he hasn't gotten there. 204 versus Utah, 198 versus Washington State. Now he's going up against one of the top defenses in the country. Yes, I know Chip Kelly's been predicated on his offense and what he established at Oregon, but this UCLA defense is legit. They haven't allowed the last 2 quarterbacks over 200 passing yards, and that included both Utah's Nate Johnson and Washington State's Cameron Ward. They're one of the best defenses in the nation. 4 straight game holding opponents to under 300 yards of offense. The Washington State head coach actually called them a bunch of creatures just because they're big, long, disruptive. They know how to attack the passer in this game, and I think that's going to bother DJ Uiagalelei in this one. I don't think he's going to get there on the passing yards, so we're going under 218.5. Next up, we're headed to the Big Ten. Number 3, Ohio State is taking on Purdue. And in this one, the LineStar app is loving Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord over 269.5 passing yards in this one. In fact, LineStar's projection for McCord's passing yards is 323. McCord is averaging 275, so just clears the over there. Going up against Purdue, and actually LineStar says this is the 3rd best matchup for a quarterback on the main slate in terms of LineStar's matchup tool. So he's in a great spot. He just had 320 versus Maryland. And of course, he's got Marvin Harrison Jr. to help him out, one of the best wide receivers in college football right now. So we're liking the over here for McCord. For our 5th college football player pick for week 7, we're going to the Alabama Crimson Tide. We're going with their wide receiver, Jermaine Burton, over 57.5 receiving yards in this one. I love Burton, not just because he spent 2 years on the Georgia Bulldogs, but because he's been an absolute beast this season. He's averaging 77 receiving yards per game. He's gone over that 57.5 line in 4 of 5 games. Only one he didn't go over was their game against USF, in which freshman Ty Simpson started at quarterback, but Jalen Milroe's back at quarterback. He's got great chemistry with Burton, and they're going up against Arkansas. Opposing lead receivers have averaged 77.6 receiving yards. The last 3 wide receivers all went over 70 in this one. Jermaine Burton's a beast. He's the team leader in receiving yards, and it's been leading Alabama. I think he will do so once again today. So we're taking Jermaine Burton over 57.5 receiving yards. And I do have a bonus pick for you guys. Last week, if you watched the show, we took UCLA running back Carson Steele over 72.5 rushing yards, and he crushed it. He had 141 against Washington State. We're running it back to him again. The line has gotten a little bit higher, though. It's up to 80.5 rushing yards. I think he clears it. However, it is a little bit higher than what we were able to get it for last week, so I don't like it as much. LineStar is still projecting him for 105 rush yards in this one. He's averaging 82.6 over the course of the season and has gone over that mark in 3 of 5. Yes, I do know that Oregon State has a good rush defense. They rank 15th in rush yards allowed per game. However, they allowed 2 rushers over 80 yards last week against Cal, so I expect Carson Steele to be in another good position to clear that 80.5 rushing yards mark in this one. I know there's a couple other games that I didn't really hit on, one being the Oregon-Washington game. I just didn't feel comfortable rolling with any of the props in that one. However, if you are inclined to place a bet on a player in that one, I'll tell you that LineStar is loving Oregon's running back, Bucky Irving, all of the overs on that one. It is completely popping in the projections and the props AI tool. So that one might be one for you guys to look at. And then in that UNC Miami game, that's going to be a great game. Excited for that one. I was looking a little bit at Drake May. I'm not super comfortable going over on the passing yards because Miami's defense is really, really good. Where I do think he could have a little advantage is in the rushing yards department. I do see him going over on his rushing yards. And I'll drop a few notes on that one in the comments. You can take a look at that one. Tyler Van Dyke hasn't been that great over the last couple weeks, so I'm a little bit hesitant to fully commit to the over on passing yards in this one, although that UNC offense is really high octane and Miami's going to need to pass to keep up. So I do think he probably will clear the over, but again, not one that I'm super confident in endorsing on this show. So I'll drop a couple other notes and some other props that I was looking at, and you guys can decide for yourself. Good luck in all of your prop betting endeavors. Remember to do me a huge favor. Like this video, subscribe to our channel if you're enjoying our content, and comment below. If we hit 4 of 5, we will give one randomly selected commenter $100 and we'll announce that on the show. So make sure to be in it to win it. Comment below. Let me know where you're headed in the prop department for this week in college football. Good luck. If you have any questions, again, drop them in the comments. I'm here to help you, so I will try to get back to you on that. All right. Good luck. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.